Talk to the Sky, Christopher Daniels, Frankie Zay, collectively known as SoCal Uncensored or
SCU! This is Catch, Hook, and Shoot, the worst podcast I've ever been on. Word.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Catch, Hook, and Shoot. Today is Sunday, April the 26th. Hope everybody is staying safe and staying healthy during all this crazy lockdown stuff that we're all dealing with right now. I want to thank everybody for listening, watching, and subscribing on YouTube, Podbean, Spotify, any place you get your podcasts. And make sure you're following on social media. It's at Catch Hook Shoot on all social media platforms. Head to patreon.com/CatchHookShoot for bonus content and ProWrestlingTees.com/CatchHookShoot for all your t-shirt needs. And if you ever want to drop me an email, it's CatchHookShoot@gmail.com. So let's find out what's going on in the world of pro wrestling this week. And we're starting it off like we always do with our match of the week. Alright, so the match of the week this week comes from Wednesday night's episode of AEW Dynamite, and this was part of the TNT Championship Tournament, the match between Darby Allin and Sammy Guevara. These two, no strangers to each other, and, have put on a fantastic match in the past. I believe that one was also match of the week when it happened, and, just two of the best young talents in AEW right now, and if you have not checked out this week's Dynamite, I highly recommend you check out at least this one match from these two guys. Darby Allin being heavily pushed by AEW, and rightfully so. He is like I said, probably the hottest young star that they have. Sammy Guevara right up there with them. These two guys are the future of AEW, in my opinion, unless something drastic happens with either one of them, which hopefully not. But, these two are being groomed to be, future faces of the company, and wouldn't surprise me to see, either one of them with a championship sometime soon. So, match of the week this week, Darby Allin, Sammy Guevara in the tournament to crown the first TNT champion in AEW. So, like I said, go out of your way. If you only watch one wrestling match this week, make it Sammy Guevara versus Darby Allin. Alright, so let's move right along into the next segment of the show, which is my top 3 highlights of the week. And, of course, I am talking about the 3 count. First up on the 3 count for this week, kind of some interesting little tidbits going on with WWE. Now, of course, last week I talked about all the releases that took place. 2 of those releases were Sarah Logan and Drake Maverick. But interestingly enough, both of them especially in Drake Maverick's case, kind of highlighted kind of frequently on WWE TV this week. Sarah Logan was mentioned a number of times on Monday Night Raw. She didn't make an appearance. There was some speculation that she would actually be on the show. That didn't happen, but the speculation was that she would somehow be put together with the Viking Raiders, which no big surprise there. She's married to Eric from the Viking Raiders. But, she didn't make an appearance, but her name was mentioned several times. And as far as Drake Maverick, he is still part of the tournament for the interim cruiserweight championship. Now, that part's not so surprising that they, would still have him wrestle these last few matches. The surprising part is they're actually using his release as part of the storyline. They showed the video that he posted on social media talking about his release, and this, tournament could very well be his last 3 matches that he ever has, and that kind of thing. So I'm curious to see where they're going with it. Drake Maverick, a great in-ring performer. I hate that WWE did not use him more in that capacity. They used him as a general manager for 205 Live and as a manager for the Authors of Pain. But, Drake Maverick, a really, really good wrestler. So, hopefully, hopefully this is not the end for him in WWE, but even if it is, he is going to land somewhere, whether it's back at Impact, where he kind of made his name here in the U.S. as Rockstar Spud, or wherever it might be. I mean, he is going to land on his feet. I have no doubt about that. Number 2 up on the 3 count is Dark Side of the Ring from this past week. The story of Dino Bravo's death. Just a really, really good show. Dark Side of the Ring this season has been phenomenal. For you guys who have not watched it yet, I would definitely suggest going back and catching up on it. Dino Bravo was one. I liked Dino Bravo as a kid. Well, I can't say I liked him. He was a heel. He was one that I always wanted to see him, lose and get his ass kicked. And he was a great heel in that fact. I wanted, I would watch his matches because I wanted to see him lose. That's what a heel is supposed to do. And for many years I knew he had passed away, but it's just been within the last several years, I found out how he passed away, and this Dark Side of the Ring episode really delves into, the kind of stuff that he was involved in or allegedly involved in, and just a really, really, interesting show, and interviews with his family and his friends up in Montreal and things like that. So I would definitely suggest checking it out. It was a really good episode of the show. And I can't say enough good stuff about it. Dark Side of the Ring is one of my favorite shows on TV, so definitely check that out. And finally, on the 3 count, a little bit lighter note, MJF, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, has been posting things on social media the last couple of weeks about an injury and things like that, and just kind of sort of stepping out of character. At least it appeared that way, thanking everybody for their well wishes and just kind of acting like a nice guy, which is really out of character for MJF. And of course he gave an update on his injury that he was saying, oh, might need surgery, it could be career ending, it's life threatening, and this and that. And turns out he got a hangnail while he was gambling on the episode of Dynamite a couple of weeks ago, and just typical MJF, he sucked a lot of people in and just kind of slapped everybody in the face. And, MJF, he to me is probably the best heel in wrestling right now. A lot of people want to disagree with that, simply because of how young he is and things like that. But, MJF, probably, at the very least, he's my favorite heel in wrestling right now. So, yeah, just wanted to kind of acknowledge the way that he just basically worked everybody with this whole injury thing. And, it turns out to be exactly that. It turns out to be a work. So, MJF, number 3 on the 3 count for this week. So getting into some of the news and rumors and stuff going on Monday Night Raw, we had Aleister Black, Rey Mysterio, and Apollo Crews all qualified for the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. I like the fact that Apollo Crews is in this. He's been getting a little bit of a push the last few weeks, which, good for him. Definitely deserved. Another one, phenomenal in-ring performer, just hasn't really been used to his full potential since he's been on the main roster in WWE. So, hopefully this is something of a breakout moment for him. We also saw the debut of Indy Hartwell on Monday Night Raw. Now, it was reported quite a while ago that she had signed with WWE, and I'm sure everybody expected to see her on NXT. But with the lockdown that's going on and just the way things are lately, we've been seeing a lot of NXT wrestlers making appearances on Raw and SmackDown. So Indy Hartwell, the latest NXT talent to be brought up to Monday Night Raw, and great for her. I mean, now who knows if it's permanent? We may see her back on NXT in the coming weeks. That's what I would assume for most of these talents that they've been bringing up and using on Raw. I think it's just to kind of give them some TV exposure and some experience working with some of the main roster stars, which is, it's great. I'm loving it. I like seeing the new faces and different faces on Raw and SmackDown, so hopefully they'll continue with that. Moving on to NXT. At the very beginning of the show, we saw a shot of Finn Balor's locker room. It was kind of trashed a little bit, and Balor was quote-unquote missing. He was supposed to have a match with Velveteen Dream. Didn't happen, so I'm curious to see where they're going with this one. If this is going to involve Imperium and Balor's rivalry with them and with Walter. Obviously, Walter's not in the U.S. at the moment, but Bartel and Eichner are from Imperium, so it could be that they are responsible for Balor missing NXT this past week. And so the match with Velveteen Dream actually ended up becoming a tag team match. Started off, it was supposed to be Dream and Keith Lee taking on Undisputed Era members Adam Cole and Roderick Strong. Keith Lee ended up getting taken out by Damian Priest midway through the match, and interestingly enough, Dexter Lumis came out and took Keith Lee's place. And, Lumis has kind of been looming, ironically enough, in the background with during Undisputed Era's matches and things like that. Just kind of watching them is really the only description that fits. So Dream and Dexter Lumis were victorious in that match, so I'm very curious to see where this is going with Dexter Lumis in the Undisputed Era. So we'll have to keep an eye on that one. Dexter Lumis, just an interesting, kind of creepy character, so I'm interested to see where they're going to go with him. We also had another attempted abduction by the masked men in the SUV. This time they tried to abduct El Hijo del Fantasma. Sorry, but that was after his match in the interim cruiserweight tournament, where they were not successful. Fantasma did fight them off. So they're continuing with this one. I'm very curious to see what the end game of this is going to be. And then next week on NXT, we've got two pretty big matches coming up. Mia Yim taking on Charlotte Flair. Now, Charlotte had said after she won the NXT Women's title, she wanted Mia Yim to be her first opponent back in NXT, so it looks like that's going to happen. I don't believe it's a title match. They didn't mention that it was a title match, so I'm thinking it's just a straight-up one-on-one match between Mia Yim and Charlotte. And then we've also got a North American Championship match with Keith Lee versus Damian Priest, so that should be a very good match. Definitely an early contender for Match of the Week for next week. Some updated standings for the Interim Cruiserweight Championship Tournament. Kushida now is 1-0. Drake Maverick is 0-1. Tony Nese is 0-1, and Jake Atlas is 1-0. Jake Atlas did defeat Drake Maverick this week, and Kushida defeated Tony Nese. That is Group A. In Group B, Isaiah Scott is 0-1. He lost to Phantasma this week, so he is at 1-0. No, I'm sorry, that's not correct. Anyway, Isaiah Scott is 0-1, Phantasma is 1-0, Tozawa is 1-0, and Gentleman Jack Gallagher is 0-1. He is the one that was defeated by Phantasma this week. Moving on to SmackDown, Baron Corbin and Lacey Evans qualified for the Money in the Bank match. Lacey Evans defeated Sasha Banks, and we saw the first kind of I guess a little bit of a falling out with Bayley and Sasha Banks, hinting at the split of that team, of course, leading to the speculation is leading to a match between Bayley and Sasha at SummerSlam. And then really the big highlight of SmackDown was the 25th anniversary celebration, I guess you could say, for Triple H. Triple H and Shawn Michaels in the ring, just kind of going through some of the events of his career, kind of roasting Triple H a little bit. Saw an appearance from Vince McMahon, surprisingly enough. It was kind of cool, kind of awkward. Vince just seemed, I don't know, it was just a very different Vince McMahon than we're used to seeing on television. So it was kind of odd, but kind of cool. Saw Triple H get some FaceTimes from Stephanie and from Ric Flair and from the Road Dogg while they were in the ring. So it was a pretty good segment. Couple of, like I said, some awkward moments, especially with Vince McMahon's appearance, but overall I thought it was pretty cool. Some miscellaneous WWE news. They had their quarterly investors call this past week, and it was officially announced that there will be no WWE 2K21 video game. Now, after all the controversy surrounding WWE 2K20, I don't think anybody's too surprised about this. There was a lot of complaints from people who purchased the game about glitches, and just by all accounts was not a good game. I had originally planned on buying it, and after the initial reviews came out, I decided against it. So Yeah, I know a lot of people have been after WWE to get away from the 2K games and go with a different video game company, different developers and things like that. So we'll have to see how that's gonna all work out. Vince McMahon also mentioned on the call that they're going to be doing more of the cinematic type matches, which I did talk about on the show over the last couple of weeks. Now, like I said, I personally am a fan of them as long as they're used sparingly. Like I said, the Boneyard match should be an exclusive to The Undertaker, and it should only be used, at most once a year at WrestleMania. That should be The Undertaker's new bread and butter. But as far as the cinematic style of matches, I definitely think they can be used a little more liberally in general. Not necessarily every single pay-per-view or every week on Raw or SmackDown or anything like that, which unfortunately possibly could happen just because it's WWE and they tend to oversaturate things that they think are working. But I'm definitely in favor of more of the cinematic type matches if they're done well. So we'll have to see how that's gonna work going forward. And basically, Vince McMahon said, at this time they just flat out don't know when they're going to be able to get back to live events with actual audiences in actual arenas or anything like that. And I think that's a realistic outlook. It would be very premature to venture a guess to say, oh, we're going to be back to doing live events in 90 days or in, 6 months or whatever. I mean, for him to just flat out say, we don't know, it's very honest and it's very realistic. So, I know a lot of people are not happy about that, but hey, it is what it is. Moving into some AEW news, the semifinals for the inaugural TNT champion are set, and those semifinal matches are going to be on one side Cody Rhodes versus Darby Allin, and on the other side Lance Archer versus Dustin Rhodes. So any way you slice this, the final match of this tournament to crown the first TNT champion is going to be amazing. I mean, these semifinal matches are going to be great. Cody versus Darby, they've already had two very, very good matches. Lance Archer versus Dustin, I could see that just turning into a bloodbath. I don't think it's going to be quite that bad because it is going to be on TNT, so they're not going to get too bloody. But these are going to be two great matches, and whoever wins either one, the final match for this championship tournament is going to be amazing. I'd love to see Cody versus Dustin again. I would love to see Cody versus Archer. That's something that's been built up since Archer came in with Jake the Snake. They said they were going after Cody. I'd love to see Darby versus Dustin. That would just be an interesting matchup. The two guys with the half face painted. And I'd love to see Darby versus Archer. Talk about a clash in styles. I mean, Archer just a monster, and Darby Allin the more, high-flying, risk-taking type of guy. So any way you slice this, it's going to be a great final match for the TNT Championship. An interesting match coming up next week. We've got Brody Lee taking on Marco Stunt. Who did Marco piss off? That's what I want to know. I mean, that is going to be an entertaining match. I mean, Marco, in all seriousness, he holds his own against bigger opponents, but not to the point where it's unbelievable. And that's what so many people complain about with Marco Stunt. Oh, he's so small, it's not believable, and blah, blah, blah. Watch his matches and watch the things he does to stay in his matches when he's in there with a bigger opponent like a Brody Lee. It's entertaining, and to me it is believable because he's just kind of hitting and running, and that's exactly what you'd expect from somebody his size against somebody the size of a Brody Lee. So I think that's what you can expect for this match coming up, and I think it's going to be a good match, and I think it's going to be fun, and it's going to be entertaining, and if you have a problem with it, whatever, I don't care. So anyway, moving on to some Impact news. They started their Rebellion, which was supposed to be a pay-per-view, but it ended up being just on their regular television broadcast on Access TV. It's going to be a two-night event, kind of like WrestleMania, in an empty arena, as we saw, those of you who watched it. And it was a good show. I mean, they're doing what they have to do and the best that they can, just like everybody else pretty much. So yeah, I mean, we saw the return of Crazy Steve from, oh crap, now I can't remember the name of the faction that he was in with Rosemary and Abyss. Decay, that was it. Yeah, we saw the return of Crazy Steve teaming up with Tommy Dreamer and Rhino to take on OVE. We've got a new X Division champion, and Willie Mack defeated Ace Austin in a really good match. That was a strong contender for match of the week this week. Saw Kylie Ray make her what would have been her pay-per-view debut for Impact. Defeated Kiera Hogan in another good match. And the main event of night one was Ken Shamrock taking on Sami Callihan in what I would deem another cinematic type match. It started off in the ring, went to the backstage area, OVE got involved, ended up outside, and Shamrock did eventually get the tap out victory with the two of them fighting by one of the production trucks. So all in all, I mean, I would say night one of Rebellion, a very good show. If you haven't, I keep saying it, if you have not checked out Impact in a while, give them another chance, because they're putting out a very, very good wrestling product in my opinion, and they've got some amazing stars, especially in their women's division. Wrestlers like Kiera Hogan and Tessa Blanchard and Jordan Grace, and now Kylie Ray, and Rosemary and Madison Rayne and Havoc, and it's just their women's division is stacked. Their men's division equally as good, with guys like Michael Elgin and Willie Mack and Rich Swann and Sami Callihan. So, you know, check out Impact if you get the opportunity, because if you're a wrestling fan and not somebody who's going to sit there and judge them based on, you know, past stuff that might not have been so great, you know, I definitely think you'll enjoy it. So give Impact another look. Next week on night 2 of the Rebellion event, we're going to find out the status of the Impact World title, because Tessa Blanchard was not at these tapings. And she was originally set to defend the title in a triple threat match with Michael Elgin and Eddie Edwards. Now, Eddie Edwards not at the tapings either. Michael Elgin did come out during an interview and on the show and say that you know, he will be world champion by the end of night 2. So I'm interested to see how that's exactly going to work out. Are they going to strip Tessa of the title and put Elgin in a match with somebody to crown a new champion, since he's one of the number one contenders, or exactly what's going to happen with the Impact World Championship? Because by all accounts, you know, at this last set of tapings, they taped enough to run TV all the way through July, and Tessa Blanchard was not there. So I'm interested to see how this is going to affect the World Championship. I would assume if it's going to be that long, they would have to put the title on somebody else so that the title is on TV. But you never know. So, you know, check out Night 2 of Rebellion for Impact this coming week. Let's see what's going to happen with that. So that's pretty much all I got for news and rumors for this week. Right now, I'm going to throw it over to Charlie G, and this is your Indie Cut.
Thank you, Tom, and hey there, wrestling friends. I am Charlie G with your Indie Cut. There's very little indie wrestling action again this week to recap, so let's get to it. With Noah Global Tag League 2020, Day 6, the final, on April 18th, at their Noah TV studios on the DDT Universe. First off, I was wrong about which Dr. Wagner Jr. was in Pro Wrestling Noah. It is actually his son, El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr., and you will figure out later how I figured that out. I apologize for that, for the mistake, and how badly I say these names today. Beginning with Shia Mirahasi defeating Kinya Okada, Muhammad Onoi, and Tedusco defeating Akatashi Saito and Masaya Onoi. Hajime O'Hara, Nasawa Ranga, and Saiki Yoshiaka defeating Daisuke Harada, Hayota, and Yohei. Masaki Mochizuki, Namachi Marufuji, and Shihei Taniguchi defeating Hoi Kanoi, and Nio. I'm sorry if I really destroyed those names. Then was Hideki Sakai, Hideki Suzuki, and Takashi Sugiura, defeating Daisuke Sakamoto, Masa Kitamaya, and Yasuka Inamura. Then Atashu Kotoge and Yushinara Agoya, defeating Kyoto Kiramaya and Kotaro Suzuki. Then in the Global Tag League final match, it was El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr. and Rene Dupree defeating Go Shiozaki and Kazuko Nakajima, giving them the opportunity for the global for the GHC tag titles, which was actually the next day at Nowhere the Spirit, April 19th at the studio with no attendance, of course. First off was the GHC Junior Heavyweight Tag Title match with Hayata and Yohei champions defeating Hajime Ohara and Saike Yoshiyaka in a 12-man tag match of Hei Kanoi, Manobu Soya, Masa Kataima, Nio, and Yoshika Inamura, defeating Go Shiozaki, Kaitsuko Nakajima, Daisuke Harada, Kanoi Akata, Mohamed Oin, and Seihei Taniguchi. Then this match should have been cool. Kyoto Kiyoya, Kenji Muto, and Minoru Tanaka defeating Hideki Sakai, Hideki Suzuki, and Kyushu Sakuraba. Nice to see the great Muta as Kenji Muto still wrestling over there. Then in the GHC Junior Heavyweight title match, it was Kotaro Suzuki defeating champion Isunara Ogawa to become new champion. And in the tag title match, it was El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr. and Rene Dupree defeating champions Mosaki Mosozuki and Namachi Marufuji to become new champions there as well. Back here in the States at Limitless Pandemic at the Dojo 4 on the 21st of April, still in Maine, at the Limitless Wrestling Dojo. It was Armani Chaos and Love Dog defeating Jalen Braden and Trevane Jordan, Mike Law defeating Frank Yeager, Dick Lane defeating Nick Stapp, and for the Limitless Wrestling World Title #1 contender match, Rip Bison defeated D.L. Hurst. Then for AAA is back with live Lucha Libre action, announcing plans to hold an empty arena tournament called Lucha Fighter AAA Live. It will last 4 weeks, which will include 16 men, 8 women, and 4 minis. But no details on how the tournament will be held, either single elimination or more. It kicked off Saturday, April 18th at 8 p.m. Central Time. The shows will be streamed live on Facebook and YouTube. Here are the participants. For the men, it was Chessman, Dave the Clown, Drago, Hijo del Vikingo, Laredo Kid, Mrs. East Jr., Mr. Iguana, Nino Hamburguesa, Octagon Jr., Pagano, Psycho Clown, Tejano, a surprise luchador, and 3 others to be announced. For the women, it was Big Mommy, Fabia Pachi, Hades, Kyra, La Hydra, Lady Maravilla, Lady Shani, and Vanilla Vargas. For the minis, it's Dinastia, Drago Kid, Laredo Boy, and Octagon Cito. As with all AAA tournaments, details and formats are subject to change, as well as probably some of the wrestlers. So let's get to it. With the big news for week 1 was the surprise return of Dr. Wagner Jr. Here's how I found out. how he was not in Japan, since it'd be hard to get from Japan on one day to Mexico on the next, back to Japan to win titles. So there you go. In February, Wagner publicly declared himself to be independent. That's how I thought he was in Pro Wrestling Noah. However, when AAA needs a legend, he will be there. Wagner entered with a title belt believed to be the Chaos Heavyweight Championship. He cut a babyface promo hyping the tournament, as well as thanking AAA and the fans. As for the matches, first off was Dinastia defeating Octagoncito. Octagoncito hit a tornado DDT, thinking he had won as an easy win. He climbed the corner, only for Dinastia to kip up and jump to the corner, landing a Spanish Fly for the win. Laredo Boy defeated Dragon Kid. Dragon Kid early on did a dangerous suicide dive, but was okay. Due to match, but he did feel it at the end of the match when Laredo Boy hit a Super Hurricanrana and then a springboard moonsault to win. La Hydra defeated Hades. Hydra entered with the EMW World's Women's Championship. Hades looked impressive throughout, but La Hydra won after a powerbomb off the turnbuckles, then a suplex rolling into a cradle driver. Afterward, Hydra grabbed a mic and thanks to some translations, said she's going to win the tournament. She's also coming for the trios title with her Mercenarios mates. Then Mr. Iguana came down, as he has a crush on Hydra, with his puppet Iguana Yeska, who was even wearing a medical face mask. Mr. Iguana offered to train Hydra to help her win. Hydra wasn't impressed and shooed him away. Mr. Iguana spoke with Yeska to say Hydra was playing hard to get. Always still trying to make laughs, even with empty arena. Next up was Heel del Vikingo defeating Mamba. Mamba missed a flying forward senton, so Vikingo attacked with a running double knees in the corner, then won with an inverted 450 splash. Dr. Wagner Jr. defeated Mr. Iguana. Mr. Iguana almost had an upset win by rolling over to a hook armbar, but Wagner powerbombed him to break out the hold. Then Wagner won with a dragon screw knee whip, then a body slam. Afterward, Wagner grabbed Yeska, whirled the puppet by the tail, and threw it across the arena. Still trying to get laughs, even for the crowd at home. Tejano defeated Dave the Clown. Dave came in with his title belt from the Vive Latino 2020 Championship that I talked about a couple weeks ago. Dave hit a German suplex on Tejano, only for Tejano to stop the referee's count. Dave pushed the referee in frustration. Tejano capitalized on Dave, lost of focus with a pile driver to win. I read pile drivers were illegal in Lucha Libre. Go figure. After reward, Tejano whipped Dave with a bull rope and took Dave's mask, as only the mercenaries can do. In the main event, it was Psycho Clown defeating Drago. Then had a flurry of moves with a superplex by Psycho Clown for a 2 count. Drago then hit a Mexican Destroyer for a 2 count, and then Psycho Clown hit a sit-down powerbomb for the win. All these matches were short and decent in their own way, about 8 minutes or less, which is kind of odd for AAA, but to get all they can do in 2 hours was pretty cool. The empty arena looked like a soundstage from the TV Azteca studio. AAA made sure to show footage of staff taking the necessary sanitary precautions. The commentators even sat at separate desks. Referees wore face masks and gloves, which I thought was pretty cool. And the ring and ropes were wiped down with disinfectant between the bouts. They showed that quite a bit. So they're making sure to be as safe as possible and a refreshing sight during these times. So check out week 2 once you hear the show, and the next 2 weeks live if you can on Saturday nights at 8 p.m. Central, live on AAA YouTube or Facebook. Last but not least, there is a rumor Conan would like Primo, Epico, and Leo Rush to join AAA when they can. So stay on the lookout for that. That's a wrap for me till next time with the AAA recap and any indie news or shows that come along the way. Don't forget to look up those Twitch streams and YouTube channels for other wrestling content. And since I am on the Lucha viewing kick, I will start next week to talk about Lucha Underground, one of my favorite shows. A show or two, I'm not sure how I'll do it yet, but I will be talking about Lucha Underground. Since most of my options have gotten slimmer, if you'd like to check out Lucha Underground with me, you can with Tubi TV for free. That's TUBI TV. So check that out. Thank you for watching or listening. Hope you enjoyed the cut. Stay safe. Take care. And remember to wash your hands, everyone. Back to you.
All right, that is Charlie G with your indie cut. I think it's really cool. He's going to be kind of reviewing, going over Lucha Underground, since there's not a lot of indie stuff going on right now. If you guys have not seen Lucha Underground, it's perfect time to check it out. Watch it along with Charlie as he's reviewing the shows. Like he said, you can find it on Tubi, Tubi. It's totally free. Don't even have to sign up or anything like that. Just go on there. It's on Amazon Fire TV, and I'm sure pretty much anywhere else you find, streaming apps. But yeah, Lucha Underground, one of my absolute favorite wrestling shows I've ever watched. It's kind of... Wrestling's always been described as kind of like a male soap opera. This takes it to the nth degree with that particular description. So, yeah, definitely worth giving a look if you've never seen it before. So, like I said, it's on Tubi. It's called Lucha Underground. If you haven't seen it, you'll definitely recognize a lot of faces on there. If if you're following most wrestling outside of WWE right now, it's got Brian Cage, Melissa Santos, actually Hijo del Fantasma is in there as a wrestler called King Cuerno, and just a lot of phenomenal talent. The Lucha Brothers are part of it. Conan, Matt Striker, Vampiro. It's a great wrestling show. So check it out, watch it along with Charlie. Listen to his reviews of it, and yeah, definitely worth giving a look. So moving on. Next segment of the show is where I like to call out just some of the idiots online in the wrestling community. And, of course, I am talking about the Troll of the Week. So this week's Troll of the Week is a woman by the name of Carlotta Waldman. And this is from Facebook. And just from a quick glance at her Facebook page, she appears to be a little bit of a religious nut and conspiracy theorist. And I'm not poking fun at people who are devoutly religious. That's not what I'm doing. But when, it's hard to put into words. I don't have an issue with religion, but when people take it to this kind of level, I kind of do. But basically, the whole reason she is being labeled as a Troll of the Week this week, she posted a picture on Facebook earlier today, which she has since taken down, but of course I got a screenshot of it, which I'm going to show to you guys here on my phone. And it's just a little bit crazy. Basically, so she posted a picture of a WWE t-shirt that's being sold in Walmart. It's an NWO shirt, very old. Everybody knows what the NWO is if you know anything about wrestling or have ever followed wrestling or ever seen even a blurb about wrestling anywhere online. You know what the NWO is. But yeah, this lady posted this picture of a red NWO t-shirt saying, "Now found in your local Walmart stores, global elites pushing for the NWO New World Order, which includes one world leader, one world religion, one world currency, and one world government. Time to show Walmart what we think. Support small business." Now, support small business is the only part of this tweet that I can get behind, but yeah, this is the the shirt that she found in her local Walmart store. It's a red NWO shirt with a visible WWE logo, on the neck there on the inside of the shirt, and it's ridiculous. I mean, so not only is she a religious nut, she's a conspiracy theorist, and just wow. And so many people got in the comments of this post just making so much fun of this lady that I almost felt sorry for her, but she kind of deserved it, because that was just pure stupidity to put that post up. And and she took the post down because I think she probably ended up feeling pretty dumb when she realized what that actually was. But yeah, it just wow. I mean, okay, so who's the one world leader going to be? Hulk Hogan or Eric Bischoff? Maybe we should put a poll up on Twitter about that. Who should be the one world leader? But anyway, so that is my troll of the week, just because it's probably the stupidest Facebook post I have seen all week from this lady, Carlotta Waldman. If you want to go check out her Facebook, please be my guest. Like I said, the post has been taken down. You're going to find a lot of stuff about like I said, a lot of religious type stuff. I'm not against religion, but I'm against people who think their religion makes them better than other people. So that's my issue there. So so that is the troll of the week. So let's get into the next part of the show here, where I kind of do some armchair arm dragging, as Edge and Christian would put it, and of course I am talking about this week's fantasy booker. Alright, so the fantasy booker this week is actually a match that could potentially happen, and I hope that it does. I really do, because I really want to see this matchup. And these are two guys who are currently now in AEW, but have not crossed paths quite yet. But I really hope they do at some point. I mean, Cody and the Bucks and Kenny Omega are smart enough. They know they need to put this match together somewhere down the line. And the two guys I'm talking about are Wardlow and Lance Archer. These are probably the two top hosses, quote unquote, in AEW right now. Lance Archer, of course, has a worldwide reputation for being just a brutal monster. I mean, I've seen some crazy matches with Lance Archer over the last couple of years, just seeing his New Japan stuff and seeing him now in AEW, and having seen him at Warrior Wrestling here in Chicago. And the same thing with Wardlow. I've seen him in some amazing matches at Warrior Wrestling, and he's had some great ones in AEW in the short time that he's been there. I think it's inevitable that these two guys are gonna clash at some point, and when they do, I hope it is at a point in time where it can be in an arena full of people, and I hope it's on a pay-per-view, because I can foresee it just being just a beautiful brutality between these two guys. And like I said, the two best big guys that AEW has right now in Wardlow and Lance Archer. So I really cannot wait to see this matchup, because I think it's coming. It has to be coming. I mean, I don't think there's any way around it. So, that is my fantasy booker for this week, which I'm pretty sure we are going to see within the next couple of years, hopefully sooner than that. But Wardlow and Lance Archer, and hey, who knows? Maybe it'll be for the TNT Championship. We'll have to wait and see how that tournament plays out. So, moving on to my next segment here. Usually, kind of an unpopular opinion, and this time maybe not, because I think some people probably agree with this one, but I am talking about the weekly hot take. My hot take for this week is Tony Schiavone and Chris Jericho are the best announced team of this current era of wrestling we're in right now, what I'm calling the empty arena era. They have been the announced team for AEW Dynamite for the last several weeks, and their chemistry as an announced team is just phenomenal. the way they play off each other, and obviously they've known each other for many, many years. I mean, Shivani was the lead announcer for WCW when Jericho first came in as a cruiserweight 20 plus years ago, and just the way that they play off of each other and their little banter back and forth. It's a great pairing. And, I honestly, I hope it continues. I mean, I want there to be audiences again and everything. I don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that. But, I hope they continue, as long as wrestling shows have to be put on the way that they're currently being put on. I hope it continues with Jericho and Shivani in the announce booth for AEW, because they are doing an amazing job. And honestly, I would have never thought of it. I mean, Jericho's always been a great talker, but I never even considered the possibility of him being put in the announce booth on a somewhat regular basis the way he has. Now, do I see Chris Jericho becoming an announcer whenever his wrestling career finally does end, kind of the way like Jesse Ventura or Jerry the King Lawler did? Not really. I don't see him making a career out of being a color commentator, but like I said, just the way that they are being used right now, and I'm sure it was done more so out of necessity than anything else, but they've just gelled into a great announce team, and I love, it's one of the reasons I love watching Dynamite right now, because it is very different watching wrestling without a crowd, and the announcers do have to kind of go that extra mile to keep you into the match, because you don't have all that crowd noise, cheering and booing and chanting and things like that to kind of rope you in. So the announcers kind of have to fill that role, and Shivani and Jericho have done an amazing job of doing that. So that is my hot take for this week. Chris Jericho and Tony Schiavone are the best announced team of the empty arena era, and that's like I said, it's my opinion. You may not agree with me. You don't have to, but yeah, for my money, Jericho and Shivani are it right now as far as empty arena wrestling goes, and I'm loving it. So that pretty much does it for this week. Coming up next week on the show, it is the 100th episode of Catch, Hook, and Shoot. Yeah, I can't believe I've been doing this for 2 years already. Actually, a little bit longer than that if you count the YouTube show that I started prior to the podcast. But this is the 100th episode of the podcast coming up next week, and yeah, I cannot express my appreciation enough for the people who download and listen every week all over the world. I've mentioned before, like 40 plus countries, and it's just it's amazing, it's humbling, and it's I cannot thank everyone enough who does check out the show and continues to watch and listen and just show your support. I love it. I love doing this show. It is so much fun every week, and like I said, it's very humbling that people would download the show every week to hear my opinions and my point of view on pro wrestling. But I love the business of pro wrestling. I love the sport of pro wrestling. I love watching it. I love talking about it. I love reading about it. I love learning about it. I love pro wrestling, and this is my way of kind of sharing that love with everybody else, because I was never athletically inclined enough to be a pro wrestler myself, and this is just kind of my way of being involved to a certain extent, I guess. But yeah, I'll talk more about all that next week. I'm going to be showing some replaying some of my favorite interviews and stuff like that I've had from the last couple years with the show. And yeah, so next week, make sure, don't miss it, the 100th episode of Catch, Hook, and Shoot. And so yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for me this week. Oh, and next week I will also have a new interview for you guys. Got interview set up coming up tomorrow, actually, with one of the first guests I ever had on the show, MMA fighter, all-around entertainer, Trap Gambino, and so that will be on next week's show as well, along with the all the highlights and stuff like that I'm planning to throw in there from the past couple of years, the past 100 episodes. So yeah, make sure you check it out. Check out the new interview with Trap Gambino and all the highlights that I'm going to be sharing with you guys. So with that, I am going to sign off for right now. Once again, I hope everybody is staying safe and healthy, taking care of yourselves, taking care of your families. doing what you're supposed to do so we can get off of this lockdown stuff sooner rather than later. So, yeah, with that, hope everybody has a great week, and I will talk to you guys soon.